Cannabis sativa.
That's what marijuana is made from.
I'm giving you a sedative to help you relax.
They aren't sure about marijuana either, but it seems to combine a stimulant effect and a depressant effect and act a little like LSD. People feel different kinds of effects because of the ways different drugs work in the body.
Do those things always happen?
Those are the kinds of things that usually happen with various types of drugs. What actually happens depends on what drug and how much a person takes and how a drug is taken. It depends on who takes the drug. Our bodies don't all work the same. It's different from addiction, where a person can get physically upset. This can happen if a person keeps on taking large doses of some drugs every day for a long time. His body gets used to having the drugs to keep on working normally, and he'll get sick if he suddenly stops taking the drug. Addiction can happen with sleeping pills, alcohol, or narcotic drugs, when too much is taken too regularly.
This is the now generation. They feel disenchanted with the world around them. While they may, for the most part, be outside the mainstream of American life, they are a part of the wave of the future. Webster defines the word now as meaning at the moment or at once. Seldom has a nation been able to witness such an explosion, a new mass mind, a nowness as it takes place. Today, we are seeing it. Of bobby socks and ice cream sodas is gone. These people no longer feel constrained by the social rules of the past. They are better read, but a nation in turmoil needs the vigor, the newness of its young. This exploration, this search for new values, has led into a new and dangerous area, the use of narcotics and hallucinogens. The brain, the body, indeed the freedom to do, can be so jeopardized by these drugs that new politics, more realistic values, and a meaningful, less materialistic society may never have the opportunity of becoming a reality. The turned-on people who seem to set many of today's lifestyles are not the only ones smoking grass, popping bennies, shooting speed, or dropping acid. If they were, the problem would be somewhat less tragic. These practices have spread to colleges, high schools, and even elementary schools. The students are being exposed to drugs that many of them believe are without lasting physiological or mental effects. On the contrary, these substances are extremely dangerous. This trend toward drugs has alarmed every responsible segment of the community, for they know that there are inherent risks in the drug experience. Aside from its illegality, there's a medical risk to the brain and body. Perhaps the biggest risk is the placing of the psyche in peril. At the moment, these students are striving for something. In time, they may become total dropouts from a world that needs desperately what they can offer. To try and cut through the undue propaganda on both sides of the drug problem, Dr. John T. Burroughs, Medical Director of Narcotics Education with the Los Angeles District Attorney's Youth Advisory Council, clarifies the extent of the drug problem and the term addiction.
Well, I think the use of the word addiction is definitely. There is also, with some drugs, physical dependence.
One important part of the drug problem is that so many substances are available or are being made available for use. Dr. Burroughs describes some of the major ones and their effects.
From the complete anesthetics, or the ones that will put you entirely to sleep, we can go into the depressants, or the downers, as they're known, and these are, of course, primarily the barbiturates. These are known as the Red Devils, the Secanols, the Nembutols, or Yellow Jackets, the Tuanols, or Rainbows, and so forth. These are all, of course, the barbiturate drugs. They can be taken by mouth, or some people prefer to take them out of the capsule and give themselves the drug intravenously. Now, the barbiturates have some very severe problems with them. For one thing, they do produce tolerance to a certain degree, and it is necessary to take more and more of the drug to produce the same effect. However, this tolerance is limited. Now, under the effects of the drug, there tends to be a distortion of time, and of course the person is confused, and the person may accidentally take more drug than he had anticipated, forgetting that he had just taken a dose a few minutes before. In addition to this, the barbiturates, when withdrawn, do produce a physical dependence or withdrawal type reaction, and with the barbiturates is a marked tendency for the person to develop convulsions. Grand mal convulsions or seizures, and unless these are controlled, they can lead to the death of the individual. After the depressants, we come to the next major group of drugs, which is the stimulants. The first ones to be used were the more mild medicine for appetite control and in certain diseases. In medicine, we might give 5 to 10 milligrams of dexedrine or benzedrine, or the new drug methamphetamine, methadone, which is known among drug users as speed. As incredible as it may sound, the person who's using this drug as a drug user will smack or mainline, that is, take intravenously 1,000 milligrams, 100 times the dose that any person would give in the medical use of this kind of drug. And the effect is overwhelming. In this kind of dosage, it causes a fantastic speeding up of the mind function, so that the person suddenly feels a rush of tremendous numbers of ideas flashing through his mind, and as a matter of fact, with hallucinogenic type overtones. His blood pressure may exceed 300 millimeters of mercury, and as you know, normal blood pressure is perhaps 110 or 120 millimeters. At the same time, his heart is beating at a fantastic rate, maybe in excess of 150 beats a minute, normal being 72 or so. And he may develop arrhythmias of the heart. That is, the beat, instead of being regular, becomes highly irregular. And there have been rare deaths reported from this. As this drug begins to wear off, there's a tremendous psychic reaction and an overreaction, so the person becomes markedly depressed. Severely depressed, which in itself is enough reason for him to want to take more drug, or perhaps to take barbiturates to ease this feeling of anxiety and depression, or other drugs, or back to meth or speed again. This depression is so marked that the person may wish to, and does sometimes, commit suicide.
Dr. Burroughs describes 2 more categories of drugs, the deliriants and marijuana.
Most important entity, marijuana. Now, the deliriants are the drugs such as the glues. The glues, paint thinners, even some deodorants have been used. They, like all the other drugs, produce a mind-changing effect. so that the person feels a feeling of euphoria, unusual happiness, a feeling of unreality. These drugs have some severe physical effects. If they are sniffed so that the actual material that is being used, such as airplane glue, can get into the nose or mouth, it causes a real burning of the mucous membranes and can cause rather severe damage. And it is becoming overwhelmingly evident that an increasing number of children are showing up with brain damage and what we call chronic brain disease. Now, marijuana is not a separate thing. This, again, is a drug. Just like LSD is a drug, just like amphetamine is a drug, or just like barbiturate is a drug. There's a specific chemical in marijuana known as tetrahydrocannabinol, or let's call it THC from here on out for short, which is the material, the chemical, that produces the high of marijuana.
Dr. Burroughs pointed out that a good deal of the confusion concerning the effects of this drug is due to its very low concentration in American marijuana, or grass. Smoking typical pot usually produces mind-altering or hallucinogenic experiences, though sometimes it has little or no effect on some people. But as the drug becomes more concentrated, it has all of the effects of any of the hallucinogens. In high dosage, it parallels LSD. And already, more purified marijuana, hashish, and the synthesized THC itself are readily available.
I think it becomes obvious after having categorized all these drugs, we've now talked about all these different categories, one thing keeps coming up all the time, and that is the drug-dependent, mind-changing or mind-altering effect of all of these drugs. The unfortunate person who gets started in this finds himself getting into an ever-increasing abyss, where he starts out with the idea, I'll have a kick or a high, and that'll do something for him. Well, it's true. These things do have a kick, or obviously people wouldn't try them. But the trouble is the person then gets involved in this vicious cycle. The kick becomes something that is not as good as he thought it was. He finds by using his drug that he has lost his capability to be responsible. He's lost his ability to be a worthwhile, successful student or successful individual. So he starts to seek ways to help him, and the only way he can seek, since he's using the drug now to avoid the reality of his failures, is to take more drugs. And down he spins. And he spins into a situation where he is virtually buried alive in a chemical tomb. This is the problem of drug dependency. One of the most tragic things about all this, as far as teenagers are concerned, is what this does to the teenager. A teenager is a person who is finally grown up to the point that he suddenly turns from a teenager to a mature adult. One of the things that will stop it cold sooner than anything else is the taking of drugs. Because in taking the drugs, the person is doing exactly the opposite of what he's trying to do as a teenager. He is putting himself into a position where he cannot make decisions, where he is only irresponsible and incapable of doing this, and he is cutting his life off.
But there are other reasons not to smoke marijuana or to take dangerous drugs. Possession of them is illegal. It is not, as many seem to believe today, an unenlightened law. Nearly every country in the world, including the United States, is a signatory to an international law banning the use, sale, cultivation, and possession of dangerous drugs that have no useful place in medicine, such as heroin and marijuana. Is the gamble of drug exploration worth this? Is it worth the physical and mental risk as well? The courts today are crowded with young offenders. Fine future. The drug question is a subtle one. This is an age of change, an age when society and authority are constantly being challenged. All too often, drugs have played a part in or have been used as a principal means of rebellion against authority. But drugs are not the proper tools with which to confront, to change a society that somehow hasn't fulfilled all its promise. Quite the contrary. Drugs rob one of the energy, the attention, the very ability to see what is. And the ability to work for effective changes of any kind depends on clear and disciplined minds. Those who take drugs to produce new insights, or for self-discovery, or for a host of other romantic reasons, find themselves snared and deluded. Illicit drugs are sold for a price, the price of helplessness and suffering for the buyer, for the greed and gain of the seller. Many of today's young people are meeting the challenges before them. They are turning on to a world that needs more involvement, more selflessness. The extreme danger today is that which is created by the closed mind. We must not accept some facts about drugs and ignore others. The drug issue is wide and complicated and cannot be faced only by the police. They need the active cooperation and the involvement of enlightened parents, schools.
And I got turned on to drugs kind of when I was going there. And at the same time, I got caught by my parents for turning on, which caused, just shrieking. My son died on June 16th, and I got sent to the shrink to get better. At the end of that summer, I took acid, and it just blew my mind. Like, it was so extreme an experience. A real acid trip, is like, it's beyond pleasure, it's beyond pain, it's beyond complacency, it's beyond fear, You just fucking get your mind blown.
Okay, how's things been going?
We had a pretty good last December because I sold a bunch of pottery, so we didn't have anything to get them.
Oh, you did? Good for you. Did you keep a list of how much you made?
I made about $75.
You didn't keep a record?
No, because I gave so many of them away that I'm not even sure.
Are you still doing this?
Yeah, but I haven't any now. I've been doing a little carpentry, but like I'm doing it for a brother downtown, and he's got about as much money as I do. I think I've made making somewhere.
Fat ones.
I got with some Navajo Indians, Native American church ceremony. Out of sight. That's the last time I was taking psychedelic. It was so good, I haven't wanted to since. Yeah. They know how to use that medicine. So good. If you take a cap of mescaline or psilocybin or LSD, you're taking a cap of whatever somebody decided they were going to make and market, because the stuff is part of the marketplace. Yeah. And so I don't take commercial LSD. I just don't do it because I've, too many fucking times I've taken a drug, and in 20 minutes I've known I've taken some bum fucking drug. So peyote, there's no doubt. You know who made it. The fuzz, there's kind of this spiny fiberglass-like fuzz in the center, and I'm not sure what the chemical content is, but it's repulsive to eat. Actually, the fresh peyote cactus is repulsive to eat.
You need oranges with it. You need one piece of orange with a button, and it tastes really good. It's a good combination.
You just take the fuzz out and put it in water and make a tea out of it. You should boil it for about 2 hours at least. Make a tea out of it, chug it down as quickly as you can. Chase it with an orange, and don't eat anything before, because it'll come up. psychedelics, if you relate to them as a sacrament, you will have the experience more times than not that you would expect of a sacrament. Like when I had my first communion, I waited, you know, like I was so prime. I was 7 years old, and I went, and got the host and swallowed it, and I sat there and waited, and the priest had give me a nudge and say, go on, because there were a bunch of kids after me, because nothing happened. But I can guarantee it, man, if you take a psychedelic, something will happen every time. Heaven or hell, it's all within you. You know, there's nothing in the LSD that isn't in you. You know, all it is a catalyst. I want to go hiking. Let me at it. Get me out of this town.
I know, I use all my energy at first. I just kind of...
I know it.
Plop them.
And I don't want to plotz around here because we got to drive.
Oh yeah, that's good.
The group talk of toking up a joint. You know it means smoking marijuana. Mike is more experienced than you in the ways of narcotics, but until now he has never suggested that you toke up together. But the pills don't give either of you the desired effect any longer, and in the insecurity of your relationship you feel a need to find some new experience to bind you together. So a suggestion that only a short month ago would have been repulsive now is considered. The smell and the taste are anything but pleasing. It makes you cough and your throat becomes dry and hot. You feel like you're floating. You concentrate on one object, a tree in the distance. It's called fixing. As you concentrate, time slows down. You hallucinate, that is, you dream. This is called tripping. Your depth perception is affected. If you had to step off a curb or get out of a car, you would probably need help because the distance might be exaggerated. On the other hand, distance might seem to diminish. As with alcohol, the problems don't disappear, they only temporarily seem to vanish and return with jarring force when the effects of the drugs wear off. But when you get on narcotics, it's like starting a never-ending downward tailspin from 30,000 feet. You become less sure of yourself, your surroundings, your friends. Quarrels are more frequent with your parents and loved ones. You try to convince yourself you're right, but deep inside you know you're not. You lose your sense of values. You think of little else but another blow-up, your newfound language for smoking marijuana. You've completed the second act, and the third act curtain is just about to go up. You don't know it now, but when it does, it's the beginning of the end, the point of no return. It can start in many ways, at a party, in the secrecy of a dirty room. That's how your third act began, at the top of a crummy staircase on the second floor of a sleazy apartment building. Now a new character enters your tragedy. His name is Eric. You and Mike had gone to his place to pick up your week's supply of pills. You didn't like Eric, but Mike had insisted. He'd welded you to his code of secrecy and forced you to help push the pills so you wouldn't cop out on him. A user learns to trust no one, not even his best girl. You sat toking up. It didn't give you the kick it used to. Eric, like all addicts, knew this. Oh yes, he smoked with you, but only to be sociable until the time came when he could introduce you and Mike to heroin. A year ago, you would have been revulsed at the thought of heroin, but now it's an easy step from marijuana to heroin. A pill, a cigarette, a hypodermic needle. Even now you're afraid. What will it be like? First you'll get a burn, that is, a feeling of warmth will slip over you, and then you'll become nauseated and get desperately sick. Finally the retching will subside and you'll have a sustained feeling of sensual excitement which will lapse into a state of euphoria or well-being. But it won't last, and when you come down you'll be in the depth of depression, consumed by a cancer of guilt. For just 1 second, your conscience pricks as you see the needle inserted and the death-dealing liquid slipping in and mixing with Michael's blood. For a moment, you want to say no, but the will to resist is gone. Temptation is ever present. The desire to try something new, something more powerful, is too great. Heroin being one of the most insidious drugs known to man, it only seems like days until you're hooked. You're not turned on any longer. The free ride is over. You're required to pay for your fix. As your tolerance increases, the need for more drugs increases, and this requires more and more cash. Now you're driven to things you would never have considered heretofore by your insatiable need for the drug. Your moral fiber has collapsed, and no crime is beyond your imagination. You are an addict, and your total effort in life is to obtain money to feed your habit. Now you're launched on a full-scale teenage crime wave of your very own, but with each passing day your tolerance increases, and now a fix only helps to make you appear normal and dispel the symptoms of withdrawal. Withdrawal, the nightmare of the addict. You live in constant fear of not having enough heroin to keep your habit supplied. For when that supply runs low and the first symptoms begin, the yawn, the sneeze, the runny nose, and you can't get another fix, you know you're about to begin a living hell. First you're burning up, then you're freezing, then the cramps and pains begin. Each nerve is laid bare and all your senses are magnified. Your whole being is like one giant nerve, raw and exposed to every outside stimulus. This period of withdrawal can go on for a week before the pain subsides and your senses come back to something approaching normal. And for this you steal and live a life of degradation and crime. But in your thirst for money you become careless and Mike is caught. Now you're on your own, and you must support your habit in the best way you can. You live in a jungle of fear. You're forced to deal with Eric alone. Mike is no longer there to help. Eric only laughs at your need and tells you to get money. Money, money, and more money. You're not prepared to take a job. Besides, no job would pay the kind of money you now need. You've got yourself a $50 a day habit. You can't support that slinging hash. So you turn to the only thing you can that will bring your kind of money. You become a call girl. You support that $50 a day habit, but not for long, because your looks begin to disintegrate. Your clients will no longer pay your price. You go from call girl to streetwalker. Then on your 20th birthday, you're picked up for soliciting. Jeanette Michaels, age 20, white, Caucasian drug addict. A 20th century slave, self-styled. She'll suffer through withdrawal, be sentenced for prostitution, released, and returned to the habit again. Lost to society, she'll continue her hopeless, degrading existence until she escapes in death. Today, tomorrow, maybe not for years.
These are yours?
Yeah, they're mine.
Oh, Tom, how could you?
Like all too many of his contemporaries, Tom is experimenting with something he knows little about which too little is known by anyone. Marijuana. It's a scene which must have times, in countless ways, all equally heartbreaking. The father-son confrontation.
Mom smokes like a chimney. And you have a drink every day and smoke too.
It's not the same.
Why not? It's easy for you to stand there with a cigarette in one hand and a drink in another and tell us not to blow pot.
Have you really considered all the consequences?
There's not a shred of evidence that marijuana is any worse than nicotine or alcohol. You can get cancer. Your liver can rot away.
Well, you're right. You rather look down on my generation for getting hung up on smoking and drinking, knowing it's bad for us. You think we're stupid. Maybe you're right. But does that make your generation so all-fired smart for getting hung up on grass? You can be harmed by that, too. Or do you have double standards when it comes to our smoking and drinking and your blowing pot?
Pot isn't bad for you.
Oh, isn't it? How do you know?
Studies concerning marijuana's possibly harmful effects have been made, although they're not yet conclusive. But some facts are known. Some effects have been established. There are apparently few physical manifestations, a reddening of the eyes, lowered body temperature, and a certain inability to coordinate movement. But there are other effects, psychological effects. The marijuana user generally experiences an uncontrollable feeling of hilarity, quite without reason. He exhibits a marked carelessness. His senses and time perception are distorted. He becomes confused, and he displays irresponsibility and poor judgment. And prolonged use may result in a loss of ambitious respect, the induced couldn't care less attitude.
But grass is not a dangerous drug like heroin. You don't become an addict.
May not be physically addictive, but it is habituating. You can come to
What it really does is expand your mind. It makes you see things more clearly. Makes you more creative. Really, it does. All the painters and writers, they all say so. Yeah, maybe they do.
Anyway, Tom, it is illegal. Every time you blow a marijuana cigarette, you take a chance on blowing your future.
Oh, come on, Pop. All my friends smoke pot. They're not criminals.
Only because they haven't been caught yet.
Two viewpoints, two opinions. But the relationship between Tom and his father is basically a good one. Tom's father believes in his son, and he challenges him, find out the actual facts about smoking grass, the pros and cons, fair and square. Don't hear only what you want to hear. And then if Tom is still honestly convinced there's no harm in doing it, nothing further will be said. Tom agrees. He's only smoked pot occasionally for a few weeks. He's really new to the scene.
Well, here, you can start with this.
Oh, Pop, come on. Establishment propaganda.
Read it anyway.
Yeah, sure, later. But I've got a better source of information.
Tom seeks the help of his friend, Mac, a couple of years his senior, the boy who first introduced him to pot. Mac thinks Tom's project is real square, but he agrees to get him all the dope. No pun intended. He knows just where to start Tom's education. At a garden pot party held by one of Mac's friends. Smoking grass is a private affair and doesn't harm anybody, he's told. It's a groovy way of relaxing, opening your senses. Tom is most interested in what he sees. These people, most of them college students, are bright and well-adjusted, very sure of themselves and their ability to handle anything. Obviously, they are all able to blow pot occasionally without ill effects. Well, almost all of them. Pot doesn't have the toxic effects of cigarettes, he's told, and it doesn't lead to the excesses of behavior that alcohol does.
Ability to coordinate movement.
The negative effects of smoking grass are exaggerated. All it is a neat way to dispel the problems of the day for a little while.
Uncontrollable hilarity without reason.
Mac has managed to get himself stoned. He has a great idea. He'll take Tom to see someone who can give him the real lowdown, a true expert on the grass scene.
Irresponsibility and poor judgment.
Where's your head?
Quit bugging. Nothing happened.
Mac takes Tom to a psychedelic shop, a head shop. The place is something else, out of sight. A pot smoker's supermarket, a psychedelicatessen. It's run by a man named Harry.
Harry is a real veteran of the grass scene, and he gives Tom the word. He's very persuasive. Everyone's on grass. All the big ones, of course. The best writers, the best musicians, the best... It's definitely the scene. Tom is impressed with the imaginative, creative posters displayed on the wall. And he asks Harry about the artist. But it's Mac again who has the answer. He knows the artist. Man, he painted those posters a couple of years ago. His pad's nearby. Why not go over and meet him? Why not, indeed?
Hey, man. Got any spare change?
Sure. Here.
Loss of self-respect.
Waco, the artist, is pleased and flattered at the visit and lights up a joint in honor of his visitors. Sure, he blows pot. Has been for years. It's great, man. Enhances the senses, opens your mind, stimulates real creativity. Those conventional posters of the old days were just so much junk, Waco tells them. His real inspirations come to him now when he's stoned on grass. This new work, now that's out of sight.
They only think they create better things.
Waco insists grass is the greatest. That's where real expansion of your mind and talents can be found. Turn on, tune out of the rat race and its square problems, and tune in on real self-knowledge and creative power.
Waco, come quick!
Bunny is Waco's wife. There's trouble, big trouble. The man is busting her younger brother. It's grass, all right. Bunny's brother, Jim, had been observed getting it from a known dealer. The officers caught up with him and placed him under arrest.
It's still illegal. You take a chance of blowing your whole future.
Bunny wants to know what the officers are going to do with her brother. The officer explains that Jim and the evidence found will be taken to the police station. She can get all further information there. Tom is impressed with the calm efficiency of the officers and the compassion they show for Bunny. They never lose their cool, even in the face of verbal abuse hurled at them by some of the onlookers. Bunny and Waco want to go to the police station, and Mac and Tom decide to tag along. At the police station, while Waco's talking to the desk sergeant, Bunny's worrying about her brother. He knew he was taking a chance on that pickup, she says, but he just had to have his grass.
Not physically addictive, but habituating. You get to depend on it psychologically.
Tom wants to think, so many thoughts are crowding his mind. Marijuana, cannabis sativa, or Indian hemp, weed, grass, pot. It can become a stimulant or a depressive or an hallucinatory agent, which affects the central nervous system and reacts differently and unpredictably on each individual user, occasionally with disastrous results. Tom has company. A police officer has noticed his interest in the display. Does he have any questions? Well, Tom is out after information, pro and con. What are the facts, he asks. Easily, with friendly informality, the officer speaks to Tom. No lecturing, no sermonizing. Pot smoking, quite apart from being illegal, is a problem. The psychological dependency generated by pot is probably its greatest danger. Plus the fact that so many young smokers who can't cope with the everyday problems of growing up seek an ersatz maturity through it. Kids who get high repeatedly don't want to come down. There's a wholesome abandonment of goals and ambitions. They've found a world where they seemingly have no problems. That's the cruelest hoax of all. Smoking marijuana all too often leads to the use of more dangerous stuff. Take it from one who runs into the young victims of just that every day. Users tend to stick with other users and addicts who can easily get them on harder stuff. Every user is a potential dealer. Some 95% of all heroin addicts started with pot. Not every pot smoker goes on to heroin, of course. A personality factor is undoubtedly largely responsible for that step. Very likely the same personality factor which turned the user on to pot. Yes, organized crime is involved in pushing marijuana. After all, it may well be a first step to real addiction, where the big money is. And every pot smoker indirectly supports big-time narcotics dealers and criminals. These dealers sometimes even get cute. They've been known to mix other drugs in the grass, hoping for a quick and dependable push towards addiction. Not to mention all the other junk and impurities mixed in with the average cut of marijuana. Maybe smoking pot isn't physically harmful to the young occasional user, although this is far from certain. As recently as 1914, heroin was sold over the counter as harmless because its deadly properties were not fully known. But consider this. Both alcohol used in excess and marijuana are equally capable of producing erratic behavior and dependency. Maybe there is a similarity between the social drinker and the pot smoker, yet it's not quite the same. The daily drink may not be the best thing in the world, but a man who takes a drink after his day is done has worked. He has achieved, he has coped, and he wants to relax. Not so the teenage user. He deliberately seeks to tune out, cop out. He uses his grass as a mental crutch because he fears to stand on his own. He may never learn to cope with the inevitable everyday problems of living. He may well become one of the left-behind generation. Does smoking grass lead to crime? It can, quite easily, as can any driving need when the one possessed by it is without the means to satisfy it. And legalizing the use of marijuana is not the answer. Of the over 130 member nations of the World Health Organization, not one is for such a step. One nation did try it, with such dire results to its societal welfare within a few years, that the permissive stand was diametrically reversed, and today the death penalty is imposed for mere possession. In the United States, a less harsh, more realistic legal attitude than exists might be the answer. But in the end, smoking marijuana to blow your mind is like throwing sand in a delicate machine and hoping nothing goes wrong. Mac has had enough of the gloomy scene. He's itching to split. It's getting late. Tom still got to see where it's at.
It may be a first step. The left behind generation. It can lead to crime.
You look like you've got bread, man. Give.
There's nothing wrong with smoking marijuana. It's no worse than taking a drink.
A 20-year study of marijuana smokers in Greece showed a fine personality change and permanent brain deterioration.
There are still too many unanswered questions about the effects of smoking marijuana. Exhaustive tests are being made. Let's wait and see.
Man, you look uptight. You need a little grass. No. On the house.
No thanks.
He's just a kid. He's old enough to have a buck. He's old enough to blow pot. It's easy money, man.
Tom's impressed with what he has experienced. Nobody of the establishment lectured him, just gave him straight facts. Only the pot smokers seemed obsessed with the idea of turning others on. One afternoon, Tom again has a talk with his father. He's looked at both the pros and cons of blowing pot. He's not convinced that grass is all that harmful, but there is room for a lot of doubt. Why don't we wait and see? There's a lot of testing to be done before we'll know all the facts. We've already got our hang-ups with smoking and drinking. We know the consequences we face doing it. Why add another hang-up by blowing pot? Especially since the full consequences of that are not known. Tom has decided what he'll do. It would be stupid to take a chance. After all, he's no psychological cripple, unable to cope. Who needs a grass crutch? Much better to keep off the grass.
This idea of position as a compromise point, you remember Blaylock has something like this. He says the sum of x sub I minus the median
is a minimum.
I'm just really not that involved with school right now. You know, I don't like my classes this quarter. I don't feel that I've learned that much, you know, from the university as far as academic type work, you know.
And the role that this will play in determining your final grade will depend on the individual case. I would say that if you're confident...
What I wanted to do was be a social worker and work with children. You know, like, my conception of it was kind of idealistic.
The next girl, please. And, oh, shit.
I swear to God, I went to that birthday party and they played bingo and I blew my mind. You were there!
I know, that's what I was saying.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Everyone is freezing outside.
And the prizes, did you see the prizes? The Tijuana special? The bull or whatever?
I got a good hand.
Wait.
What, 4 different kinds or what? Well, I mean, Bill, we can't all be great at everything, you realize.
Well, last year I was pretty close with Bill. In fact, I wasn't going out with anyone else, really.
Hey, I just realized.
He's not quite sure if he's going to get into med school next year. He kind of screwed around his first couple of years.
There's a present they got, like this coffee liqueur that you pour in here, and it's like a straw, and you just like...
So you're going to use it as a hash pipe?
Well, I don't know. It might freak her out.
Then when I went to Europe and I came back, I mean, things just really cooled off at the beginning of the year. So basically, you know, we go out and we have a good time, but there's nothing, you know, nothing definite about our relationship. He was the worst. He didn't want to be seen in public with me.
Oh, wait.
It was really
Did I ever tell you your face looked bad?
Yeah, you did. It was dark out, but you did. It's hard for me right now to get in, you know, to really get into a guy. I think I'm kind of going through the phase, you know, where I'm just kind of seeing a lot of different people. I guess when I'm ready to get, or when it happens that I'm emotionally involved with someone, you know, I guess I will be. I want to have kids. I do. If you're really in love with someone, I think that you don't have to be married to live together and have kids, you know. Because if you're in love, you're going to stay together.
I mean, they become human beings when they're born. You just help raise them, and after that, they're on their own. So I hope she doesn't get carried away, that's all.
Not a whole heck of a lot. Just working. Yep. Nope.
Uppers.
Well, how
amphetamines, but she can get behind eating mescaline.
Well,
Which blows my mind, you know, because
well, actually, mescaline is beautiful. You know, I really dug it. You know, I'm sure I'll do it again sometime. But, you know, to be with a person that you really dig and take it, it can be really nice. I closed my eyes when I was going to sleep and I was seeing flashes of colors. You know, colors are supposed to be better on psilocybin than mescaline.
I don't know. All that shit really isn't that bad if you get like proper sleep and reading.
If you don't do it that often.
That's
the whole thing, how much you do.
I haven't eaten in a long time.
Linda, hey, this isn't bad. Do we need more noodles, do you think?
Well,
why don't you wait?
You're talking about sauce one. Oh, what do you mean a sauce one? How much sauce is going to slip through those little holes?
Yeah, all right. I made 2 different kinds of garlic bread. One soggy and one with Parmesan.
Do it, baby, do it. Okay.
That's Yvonne? Oh, she won't mind. This is about marijuana? Well, I think it's a good thing.
It's marijuana, and all the further away she stays, the better.
No, it's easy to get. And I think you have to be kind of stupid to really get busted, you know, unless a chance thing happens. But I don't usually walk down the street smoking.
Yes, I love it. Not the album, but I've heard a lot of his songs on KMET. He's really good. It's a wide world, baby. Where's Magic now?
Like, when I started smoking dope, I think my head was going through some changes anyway. I think that before I expected certain things in a person if they weren't there, like I didn't think as much of them or something. But now, I think I'm beginning to take people for what they are a lot more. A lot of things, I don't worry about as much. I don't hassle as much in my mind.
Jim, that electricity, have you ever experienced anything like that before? It was so far out where 6 of us were standing in a circle, and we just stood there with our fingertips touching, each other like this. And the electricity, a current, just went right around the circle. It was unbelievable.
You could really feel it.
Like
I only had 2 hits off that
I
night.
want
That's all she had.
to put my hands in it.
Yeah, she did. And but just 2 hits was just too much. Inhale.
You should not be so mean to that excellent hash.
Oh.
And do you know what I found in the box?
What did you find?
No milk duds.
What did you expect?
Oh, at least one.
You knew I finished them off.
I really...
Yeah, it's really nice to be stoned. Music is great when you're stoned. Food is great when you're stoned. Everything is great when you're stoned. Really is.
Did you ever put out a joint? Preempted.
Not usually.
Hey, whoa, hold it. Get a general consensus before you start making rash moves.
It's really weird, but when I get stoned, I can't think. Like I forget things. Like in the middle of a sentence, I'll forget what I'm talking about. I can communicate with people that are stoned on a different level sometimes, which is really a trip. Yeah, a lot of people can function really well on grass, but I'm not one of those people.
Maybe I'll
You're my co-star. You're my co-star.
Hey, that's James Taylor, my man. That is him.
What? Thank you.
I just want to get away and do things. I've been in Los Angeles for a long time, and I'm just getting tired of it. I want to really get out and do different things. Maybe live in Europe for a while and bum around all over. I don't care that much about having very much money, because it doesn't cost that much to live, really.